Good evening, afternoon or morning. Movie Cat is at the microphone, and today I will tell you about a film where there are no evil people. However, there is a soulless and imperfect bureaucratic system that can easily, almost completely, restrict movement of not guilty of anything men. For your attention is a tragicomedy of 2004, The Terminal.
Beyond those doors is American soil. You are not to leave this building.
In order not to lose this channel, I recommend to subscribe. Viktor Navorsky, a man with a small bag and a can of peanuts in his hands, arrives in New York, but he has problems at passport control. Viktor is invited by the Deputy Chief of Airport Security, Frank Dixon. In his office, Dixon tries to explain to Viktor that during the flight, a military coup took place in his home country of Krakozhia, and the new government of the country suspended their passports. As a result, the American visa in such a passport was cancelled, so Viktor cannot go through passport control. But there is also no way to fly back, since all flights to Krakozhia have been cancelled. Dixon adds that he cannot put Viktor in isolation cell, because there is no reason for this. Therefore, only one solution remains: Viktor cannot leave the airport's international transit zone until the United States establishes new diplomatic relations with the authorities of Krakozhia. Viktor does not know English, so he does not understand any of Dixon's words. Then Dixon simply says that America is closed for Viktor and he must wait. Dixon also gives Viktor food vouchers and asks the policeman to escort him to the terminal. Suddenly, Viktor notices televisions that broadcast news of a military coup in Krakozhia, and then he realizes the horror of the current situation. After 10 minutes, Viktor decides to help the girl to close the suitcase, and during this he accidentally drops his food vouchers on the floor. They are immediately swept up by a cleaner. When Viktor tries to get his vouchers, the cleaner says that in order to rummage through his trash can, he must first make an official appointment with him. Meanwhile, Dixon is called by his boss, who says that he is going to retire. The boss promises to recommend Dixon for the position of head of airport security, but for this, he will have to pass the inspection flawlessly. Half an hour later, Dixon sees on the monitor how Viktor walks around the terminal in a dressing gown. A shocked Dixon asks the cop, why doesn't Viktor just run off to the city? Is he an idiot? The policeman replies that Dixon himself ordered him to wait in the terminal. However, Dixon explains that he did not seriously suggest this to Viktor, being almost certain that the Krakozhian would simply run away. Then the Deputy Chief of Security decides to get rid of the unwanted guest as soon as possible. He finds Viktor and tries to explain to him that at noon the guards at the front door will leave, and that change will not come until 5 minutes later. When Dixon sees that Viktor doesn't understand him, he simply says loudly that at noon America will open for 5 minutes. But Viktor, frightened, does not run away and remains to settle down in the terminal, in an abandoned part of the airport at gate number 67. He arranges a room for himself. He makes a bed out of chairs and removes the fuses from the electrical panel so that the light does not interfere with his sleep. Viktor tries to keep up with the news about the situation in his country, but understands almost nothing in English. Then he finds 2 identical books in English and Krakozhian, and comparing the texts, he studies the language. Some time passes and Viktor begins to starve. He finds an ingenious way to make money by returning baggage carts to a special terminal that gives out 25 cents per cart as a reward. With the money he earns, he manages to buy food for himself. The airport security chief sees Viktor making himself at home in the terminal, walking around the airport in a bathrobe and taking a shower right in the washroom sink. Dixon is again trying to figure out how to get rid of him. Then, in an attempt to force Viktor to run away from the terminal, he establishes a new position of cart returner, which leaves Viktor without earnings. However, Viktor does not remain hungry for a long time. Enrique, a food carrier, comes to his aid. He proposes a deal. Viktor sends love messages to the passport control girl, Dolores, whom Viktor visits every day in a hope to get the right to enter the United States, and Enrique feeds him food stolen from the in-flight restaurant. Viktor agrees and helps a shy guy to start a relationship with a girl. After some time, Enrique and Dolores get married, having made a wedding right at the airport. One day, Enrique asks Viktor what does he keep in the peanut can. he carries with him all the time. Viktor replies that there is jazz. Enrique does not understand him and jokingly asks what if Viktor mixed everything up. And in the can is blues. Later, Dixon comes up with a new way to get rid of Viktor, suggesting that he apply for political asylum in the United States, answering just one question: is he afraid to return to his country? Viktor does not want to lie and replies that he is not afraid, thereby losing the opportunity to receive asylum. A frustrated Dixon temporarily abandons attempts to get rid of an unwanted guest. Later, Viktor accidentally meets a flight attendant named Amelia, who greatly admires the affair between Napoleon and Josephine. Viktor wants to invite her to dinner, but he needs money to do so. After a day of unsuccessful attempts to get a job, he finds abandoned building materials and tools in a wing of the airport being repaired. Since Viktor was a builder at home, he puts in order one of the walls overnight. In the morning, the work manager appreciates the quality of the work done and hires Viktor with a salary of $19 per hour. Dixon, learning that Viktor is getting a higher salary than him, becomes angry. On the day of the airport inspection, the guards lock Viktor in a temporary holding cell in order to avoid trouble and create the illusion that the airport is in perfect order. However, Dixon suddenly needs Viktor's help. One of the passengers, named Mila Dragovich, is carrying medicine for his dying father, but does not have the necessary paperwork to do so. Mila Dragovich does not understand English at all, and only Viktor can speak to him. The main problem is that Mila Dragovich is armed with a knife and threatens to kill himself if he is not allowed to fly to his father with the medicine. Dixon offers Viktor a deal if he helps calm Mila Dragovich. Then he will be released to New York. Viktor explains to Dixon that the medicine is intended for his father, and Mila Dragovich did not know that he needed to have any documents to transport this drug. Dixon says Mila Dragovich can go further, but without medicine. Viktor decides to help Mila Dragovich save his father and tries to convince Dixon that he mistranslated the word father. In fact, Mila Dragovich is carrying these medicines for his goat. Dixon understands that Viktor is deceiving him, but he cannot prove this, so he has to release Mila Dragovich along with the medicines. Since permission is not needed for veterinary drugs, Dixon, furious that he was outplayed by Viktor, presses him against the printer and promises that he will do everything possible to ensure that Viktor can never enter the territory of the United States of America. This story, retold by Indian cleaner Gupta to the whole airport staff, makes Viktor a hero. Viktor is given the nickname Goat Man, and copies of a snapshot of his poem, printed out during a conversation with Dixon, are hung by employees throughout the terminal. Later, Viktor tries to make up with Dixon and gives him a souvenir wall fish he won at poker. Dixon asks Viktor what is kept in his peanut can. Viktor replies that there is a promise. Dixon does not understand and makes it clear that he does not intend to let Viktor into the US. Gradually, a decent and hardworking Viktor makes friends from among the employees of the airport and the shops and restaurants located there. He begins an affair with flight attendant Amelia. His new friends help him prepare a romantic evening for her. Viktor gets close to the cleaner Gupta, who says that for 23 years now he has been working at the airport of a foreign country and does not return to his homeland, to India, because at home he faces a prison term of 7 years for injuring a policeman who extorted money from him. During a romantic dinner with Amelia, Viktor tells her that he lives in the terminal and waits, but she takes it as a metaphor and replies that all people also live in expectation of something. Viktor cannot explain to the girl that he literally lives in this airport. After a well-spent evening, Viktor promises to wait for Amelia from the next flight and prepare a gift for her, the same as Napoleon gave Josephine. Over the next 2 weeks, Viktor is diligently converting the old toilet at gate 67 into a fountain. After a 2-week series of flights, Amelia is detained by Dixon and he tells her the whole truth about who Viktor is and why he lives here. Dixon tries to convince the girl that Viktor is absolutely not the person he claims to be, and that it is necessary for everyone's safety to find out what does he keep in his peanut can. Amelia demands an explanation from Viktor and he tells her why he came to New York. Many years ago, his father accidentally saw a photo in a newspaper that depicted 57 jazz performers, and he, in love with jazz, began to write letters to all of them. For 40 years, Viktor's father waited for answers, and all the jazzmen sent him autographs, except of one, Benny Golson. The father did not wait for his autograph and died. Viktor wants to fulfill his promise to his father to get an autograph from Benny Golson and put it in a can with the others. The purpose of his long journey is to keep his promise. 9 months later, the war in Krakozhia ends, and now Viktor can return to his homeland. Amelia, with the help of her lover in Washington, gets Viktor a one-day American visa and says goodbye to him forever. This one-day visa must be certified by the head of airport security, and now it is Frank Dixon. Of course, Dixon follows his promise to do everything so that Viktor does not set foot on the territory of the United States. So he refuses to stamp a visa, trying to send Viktor home as soon as possible. Dixon resorts to blackmail. If Viktor does not immediately fly home, then he will fire Enrique for stealing food and give the cleaner Gupta to the migration service. Viktor does not want to set his friends up, and he agrees to go home without ever having been to New York. To help Viktor carry out his plan and get the coveted autograph, Gupta gets in the way of a plane flying to Krakozhia and delays the flight. As a result, he is arrested by the police and later, probably, to be deported to India. Viktor has the opportunity to get to New York for 2 hours and, accompanied by all the airport workers, he moves to the exit door, where he is stopped by the security service. However, the guards refuse to follow Dixon's orders. They give Viktor a coat and let him into the city. He gets into a taxi, goes to the performance of Benny Golson and receives a long-awaited autograph from him. After, Viktor Navorsky, with a sense of accomplishment, returns home to Krakozhia. Thank you for watching. And what would you do with Viktor if you were the head of airport security? Write in the comments please. Also put your fingers up and subscribe to the channel.